Have you ever heard of a Hollywood star spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on a dinosaur skull? What if I told you that two famous actors engaged in a bidding war over it, and the winner later discovered it had been stolen? Stick around, because this wild story is just one of many about celebrities who went from having millions to losing it all. Let's start with Michael Jackson, the king of pop. He was one of the most famous people in the world. His album Thriller, which sold over 65 million copies, is the best-selling album of all time. At his peak, he earned millions every year. Yet by the time he passed away in 2009, Michael was over $500 million in debt. How does someone so rich lose so much? Michael's spending habits were legendary. He bought Neverland Ranch for $17 million and spent $35 million more, turning it into his private amusement park. It had a zoo with giraffes and tigers, a movie theater. In addition, Michael spent $20 to $30 million more per year than he earned, even as his income dwindled in later years. He borrowed $200 million to stay afloat and faced repossession threats for Neverland, which cost $5 million annually to maintain. Despite his fame, his love for luxury and bad financial management left him in debt. Next up is Mike Tyson, one of the greatest boxers in history. Over his career, Tyson earned over $400 million, with payouts as high as $30 million per fight. But by 2003, he had filed for bankruptcy with $27 million in debt. Where did all that money go? Tyson lived extravagantly. He bought pet tigers. Yes, real tigers. He spent $173,000 on a gold chain. He owned mansions and cars and threw lavish parties. Tyson also faced legal troubles and owed the IRS, lawyers, and child support money. His wild spending habits caught up with him. Still, Tyson has since turned his life around through movies, TV appearances, and even launching a cannabis brand. Speaking of bizarre purchases, let's discuss one of Hollywood's most unusual acquisitions, a dinosaur skull. In 2007, two famous actors, Nicolas Cage and Leonardo DiCaprio, won a bidding war over a 67-million-year-old skull. Cage won the auction by paying over $270,000. But here's the twist. Years later, Cage discovered the skull had been stolen from Mongolia. He returned it to the government but never got his money back. Speaking of Nicolas Cage, his dinosaur skull was just one example of his wild spending habits. At one point, Cage earned over $150 million, but spent it faster than he made it. Here are some things he bought: 2 albino king cobras, a handful of castles, 22 cars, including 9 Rolls Royces. And yes, that dinosaur skull. Cage also owed $6.3 million in back taxes, which added to his financial troubles. His story teaches that even big paychecks can't save you if you spend recklessly. From actors to troubled teen stars, Lindsay Lohan was once one of Hollywood's biggest teen stars. At her peak, she earned $7 to $7.5 million per movie for hits like Mean Girls and Herbie, Fully Loaded. But her fortune disappeared as quickly as her fame. What happened? Lindsay spent her money on expensive clothes and jewelry, renting a Beverly Hills home for $8,000 per month, legal fees that soared to over $300,000. She also struggled with personal issues that led to rehab stays costing thousands of dollars each time. By 2012, she owed hundreds of thousands in unpaid taxes and had her accounts seized by the IRS. Despite earning millions during her career, Lindsay's lifestyle left her dangerously close to bankruptcy. Now, let's rewind to the early 90s. Remember MC Hammer and his hit song, You Can't Touch This? In 1991 alone, Hammer earned $33 million. But within a few years, he filed for bankruptcy with over $13 million in debt. So where did all his money go? Hammer loved living large. He built a $30 million mansion, hired 200 people to work for him, bought so much gold jewelry it could probably sink a small boat. Hammer has since reinvented himself as a tech investor in Silicon Valley, proving that comebacks are possible even after massive financial losses. So, what can we learn from these stories? Having millions doesn't mean you'll keep millions. These celebrities earned massive amounts but lost it all because they needed to manage their money wisely. These stories prove that anyone can run into money trouble if they're not careful.